I'm excited about the new traits that are coming out in soybeans and cotton and other crops. The challenge is we're going to be using products like dicamba and 2,4-Ds in the middle of the season. And for many of us across the country, we're used to using them maybe in a burn down situation or maybe in the fall, but not right in the middle of the season. So tank cleanout is certainly a concern for many.
Well, let's just start with this. With the new Roundup Xtend beans that came out, we're really excited about those. We think even within a year, you might see those on over half of the U.S. soybean acres. So this is a major deal. The problem today is dicamba. There's no dicamba formulation, not Clarity, not Banville, not Extendamax, not Ingenia. None of them are labeled for post-emerge use in the Roundup Ready to Xtend soybeans. Okay, so when will they get labeled? We don't know. So all we know for today is you can use dicamba around your fields or use it in the ditches, on your field borders, on the pastures, all these other things, but in crop, probably not. But let's just say, for example, that it does get labeled. Okay, what are you gonna do to get that dicamba out of the spray tank when you have to go spray your regular soybeans?
Well, first of all, it comes with awareness of, you know what, I am spraying that and I have to be real cautious, because I hear guys already say, well, I'm raising corn and soybeans. Well, if my soybeans can tolerate dicamba and my corn can tolerate dicamba, I really don't have to worry about it. But you have to think about timing. In both those crops, there's a limited window of when you can even handle dicamba. Like in corn, for example, we'd prefer to get the dicamba out in the V2, V3 range or sooner. At the worst case scenario, maybe V5, we don't want to go any past that. You get later on in the season, you could see some issues that corn is growing so fast that it really can't handle much more dicamba. Then you look at soybeans, they're going to be labeled up to about first bloom. Well, after that, you're going to see some issues. So don't just think, well, I can be lazy, I don't have to worry about it because I got corn, I got beans, I can both tolerate it. Not all season they can't. You really do have to be worried about cleaning that tank out.
And here's where I would disagree with Darren a little bit. I'm really not too worried about the tank clean
here's
out
the
there.
problem.
If there's a trace.
Brian's exactly my problem. Roundup is one of the best tank cleaners that has ever been invented. When you put Roundup in a tank and it's in this poly spray tank and you leave it overnight, it's going to pull out of those pores almost everything that you've ever sprayed through that tank, if there's any residue whatsoever. So we've got issues of, hey, I sprayed dicamba earlier in the season, now it looks like I've got dicamba back in my tank, and that's what farmers are concerned about.
Let's first
Brian's
keep in mind,
not convinced yet that
I'm
we
not,
need to have
because
a clean
let's keep
tank.
in mind the dose makes the poison. With the dicamba crops, or if I'm spraying corn, or if I'm spraying Roundup Ready to Xtend soybeans, once this product gets labeled, don't get me wrong, we're not saying anything, doing anything off label, but all I'm saying is if I ended up with 1/100th of an ounce of dicamba out there, do you really think that's going to hurt anything? No possible chance. But would it hurt regular soybeans? It might curl the leaves a little bit, and that's one of the things you got to understand too with dicamba or even 2,4-D. If you actually shorten the beans, you've probably hurt the yield. If you just cup the leaves a little bit, you have probably not hurt the yield.
I do agree with you that if you only cup the leaves just a little bit, you're probably not hurting any yield. I completely disagree with you on the tank cleanout though. We have to be really, really fussy with everything that we're spraying. It all depends on what we're spraying. Including this new dicamba that we're going to be spraying.
Okay, well, let's get specific. How are you going to clean dicamba out of the tank?
All right, so here's what I'm most concerned about. And you can certainly use a commercial tank cleaner and that will be just fine. But how are you going to use that product? If you think, well, I just have to take a jug, dump it in the top of my tank, stir it up once, I'm good. It's not quite that simple, because we see not just dicamba, but other herbicides getting caught up in filters, in strainers, certainly around tips, down in booms. I mean, there's lots of places.
Underside, or the
underside of the top of the tank,
yeah.
If you had some foam that got up on the top side and stuck. Here's the big thing. You have to get out and clean that tank immediately. If you don't clean out the tank and it's 80 degrees and it's sunny and your tank's sitting out there in the sun, all of a sudden that stuff gets baked on and it gets really tough to get that cleaned.
One other thing that I would say is check on the label and talk to your agronomist, because a commercial tank cleaner may not always be the best thing for you. It might be bleach or ammonia or something else to clean that tank out even better than a commercial tank cleaner. So don't always assume it's just that tank cleaner you need.
Tank cleanout is certainly a very important thing to do on the farm, and it's something that you really want to get good at. A lot of times we're talking about putting that tank cleaner in and leaving it sit overnight.
Yep.
Filling the tank up, charging the boom, making sure there's tank cleaner all through the whole system, and just letting it sit out there, letting it work on what's in your tank. That's not a bad way to go. And then of course dispose of that rinsate properly. Well, one of the weeds that you may consider using dicamba on is our weed of the week. We'll give you some other options for control as well coming up next.